Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen with a monthly report covering the highlights of what all the studios have been up to through February and what they're looking to work on now for March, and with the release of 3.1 coming at the end of the month. The CIGLA teams, the narrative guys there, have been working on some scripts for a few new characters that will be coming to the verse. They've also been defining a new system for generic NPC line sets, outlining the narrative experience of locations as well as various Squadron 42 work they can't really discuss at the moment. The character team there have made the medium and heavy Legacy Outlaw and Light Marine sets. They've put them into their high poly phase, which allows for more highly detailed work before getting them ready for their final texturing. They've also moved on to several pieces of their upcoming Port Olisar clothing collection and the Legacy Outlaw light armors from the high poly to the in-game mesh states. They've also been working on some high quality mission givers and character concepts for future releases too. They are putting the finishing touches on the back end functionality so player choices persist, which is very important. They've also implemented a facial rig designed to translate human performances onto the alien characters. This is important because they want the actors' performances to translate into very different morphology. They want them to look alien, but they also want that mocap. It's an interesting balance. Tech content have been optimizing and improving various pipelines. There is a lot of focus for the director's camera mode too, so the team there has started to revisit that mode to make it more robust and user-friendly by creating a more intuitive and obvious control mechanism there. Ships and vehicles wise, the base model of the Tumble Cyclone is in its prep stage, getting it ready for 3.1. The Anvil Hurricane has also entered its final art stage and is still en route to being ready for 3.2. Revisions to the Mustang are still in progress and it's entering its final art stages. Again, it looks to be ready for 3.2, and the Anvil Terrapin is currently having its final animations done, getting it ready again for 3.1. They've implemented a huge number of ship optimizations well to help increase performance. The goal with optimizations is to find improvements wherever they can, completing fixes that bring milliseconds down to microseconds rather than looking for a single catch-all fix. The team have also spent time converting items from 1.0 to 2.0, such as missiles, missile racks, object data banks, AMPs, and various bugs and crashes to increase client performance again. The CIG Austin team, the design team there, have been looking at service beacons which facilitate player-generated content. The plan for 3.1 is to allow players to pay each other for services such as transport or combat assistance. Once a contract is accepted, quantum travel markers will be created on the contract initiator so the contract provider can easily get to them. Both parties will be able to see where the other person is while the contract is active. Either party involved in the contract can cancel at any time, but be warned, players will be able to rate the other person where contract completion is not easily determined. For instance, when does combat assistance end? The team is closer to finishing the second sprint on that feature and is currently in the scope of a 3.1 release. So this is hopefully going to be distress beacons, but it sounds like it might be a little bit more. They are also organising the work involved for the next 3 mission givers. This entails prioritising their animations and figuring out how to evolve their functionality. These mission givers exist in locations already in-game. These mission givers are Luca Brunt, who organises races at Grimhex and collects bets on the races. Recco Battaglia, who organises much of the mining tasks that are coming and going out of Levski, and Wallace Klim, he's a drug chemist that is set up shop in the tunnels of Levski as well. These new mission givers have not committed to a specific release schedule, but since they populate locations already in game, they'll be released as soon as they're ready. Back-end services team there, they've provided support for the new service beacon system by allowing the back-end services to manage all aspects of service beacons, contracts and states. They're also still working on bringing all of their online services into their fully diffusionized states. Art and animation, they've shifted work on usables to now bringing the persistent universe mission givers to life. They've been putting finishing touches on various shopkeeper characters and admin office workers. Ship Animation finished their work on the upcoming ships for 3.1, including the Tumble Cyclone, the Mist Razor, the Anvil Terrapin, and the Reclaimer. The Phoenix has also made steady progress. It's received a positive white box design review and is functional in the actual dev branch of the game now. Obviously, it still needs a lot of work to get ready for 3.3. Operations team there, they've made an effort on focusing towards optimizing all aspects of server communication and data storage and retrieval efficiency, including network and database optimizations. They've been testing several shopping and commodity changes in anticipation of an economy playtest with Evocati. On the 3.1 front, the branch is up and running, which means that QA are in the thick of checking inclusions and completing a smoke test to locate any bugs beyond those already found in game dev. A large amount of play test time has been spent on performance, with all optimizations, refactoring and cleanup of old code going on. Regular captures must be provided to the engineers for progress. New missions have begun to hit QA along with debugging tools to diagnose and log problems for developers. Foundry 42 UK, so the ship's there, the Origin 600i is nearing its art completion. The team's also been working on the hammerhead's interior, the corridors, turrets, cargo bay are now complete, and now they're looking at the bridge, captain's quarters and lift sections. The Reclaimer is art complete, as I said earlier, and will be featured during March's episode of Shipshape. The team has also been tirelessly working on some new concept ships that will be revealed in the future. Audio, so the audio guys there have been focusing on optimizing and stabilizing code to help improve performance for the 3.1 release. Both CPU and memory usage have been reduced. The graphics guys there have been focusing on three main areas: the UI, performance and gas clouds. The UI team have been focusing on fixing various quality issues with anti-aliasing and render-to-texture resolution to ensure displays are as crisp as possible, also making several improvements to the ship targeting displays, adding back older features into the render-to-texture system such as edge highlighting and electrical interference. On the performance front, some major improvements have been made to the multi-threading within the editors, which in many cases have doubled the frame rate on complex environments such as the Squadron 42's Idris. For the gas cloud system, the team has been extending it to support multiple gas clouds at once, with the aim of allowing them to be embedded within one another, as well as general optimization work in general. The Frankfurt VFX team has also actually continued R&D into better particles and general gas tech too, to help support that. UI have been working with some other teams to bring new features and polish to both ship combat and the PMA VMA, so the personal manager app and the vehicle manager app. They've been improving the look of the MFD screens and generally improving the overall visual quality of the holo shaders and surrounding UIs. The team is also working closely with the graphics team to dial in shader requirements, which aim to improve the legibility of holograms themselves. They've also been working on combat markers for the Item 2.0 ships. They are generally doing lots of bug fixes as well as overhauling the mobiGlas layout, so it's going to be a much more better use, I suppose, of screen real estate and breaking the menu layout into a more intuitive structure. So it's going to be more ergonomic, more useful in game. Animation continued to work on the firing and reloading for the Gemini R97 ballistic shotgun, the F55 ballistic light machine gun, the K&W Democo light laser machine gun, and the Castec Arms scalpel ballistic sniper rifle. Also, female background exercise sets have been brought up to the final quality class. Usable animation sets continue to be refined, eliminating bugs and tidying up popping issues on things like cups, plates, and tray attachments. Engineering there have steadily made progress on object container streaming. The team have been plowing through the conversation of all component creation routines so they can now run on background threads. To give an indication of how much work is involved, there are around 400 of them in total, of which 218 have now been converted, so there's some way to go still. The streaming can now be turned on, creating everything that is marked as thread safe in the background and everything else on the main thread. So the team can now test whether everything is still working as they progress. At this stage, it does slow down loading considerably as it has to wait and switch between the two threads, but that will improve as more components are converted. In conjunction with animation, player mechanics have been worked on for newly implemented leaning systems, allowing you to lean left and right in all stances. Because of the way a lot of environments are built, the contextual cover system doesn't always work that well, especially when trying to look around corners with walls that aren't straight edged. Rather than locking players into a cover mechanic, the team is trying out more of a player-driven cover system where the player is given the ability to manually lean left and right, giving them more control and response. They are also working on the first iterations of mining, and they're currently deciding how to set up different types of rock with their mineral compositions, how the kind of energy will be absorbed, how players can extract the minerals and break into them. Environmental art. The team now has a locked down library of rooms, corridors and hero spaces to use for the initial version of the rest stop interiors, so they can now create hundreds of layouts for stations easily. Work continued on the utilitarian hangars and refinements made to the rest stop exteriors too. These elements were brought together in a final location to create the bones of a finished rest stop, with design, audio and visual refinement continuing forwards. Foundry 42 Frankfurt, the environmental art guys there, have continued to update the look of procedural planets and procedural tech. The recent tech improvements now have updated some of their existing content to make better use of the advancements in general. So this includes more intelligent color and material breakup, overall improved terrain, and better orbit to ground transitioning. There is also a small environmental art task force that have kind of been focusing on landing zones in Lorville. The white box and layout phases are almost complete for this, and the team is preparing to push these towards final art. QA, so they have a new automatic RAD capture system that allows them to much more quickly address performance issues by finding out why and when client frame rates drop below 15 frames per second. The team has also started initiating testing for the Perforce integration for subsumption. System design have continued to polish cover mechanics for AI so they can make better use of the terrain around them, as well as getting Vandal to use human cover, so that's not their natural environment, but they still have to use it in an interesting way. Ship AI team there have also focused on integrating the first layer of skills and traits, so they've worked closely with engineers to figure out how AI's behavior is going to be affected by these skills and traits that they kind of likely have, their stats basically, and how obvious it is to a player that they're doing that because of their personalities. They've also worked with the existing and upcoming locations to figure out what special actions and behaviours the populations at those zones need. Once that work is done, all the locations should get a big boost in the level of immersion and believability. Additionally, they worked on the mining system, focusing on mining material deposits on the surface of planets and moons with a prospector. The design is still in the early phase, but they're looking at developing it into a way that easily expands to other forms like space rocks, gas, liquid mining, comets. Mining is just one part of the economy, but once it's in and functional, they can build adjacent systems that will make Star Citizen's economy feel more alive. Tech art, they've updated the Toral Aggregate KHIX missile launcher. Yes, it's an FPS handheld missile launcher, or shoulder-mounted missile launcher, I suppose, with the final art and animation rig they've got ready now. They also started prototyping on some next-gen character customization tech. It will feature a runtime wrap deformer that makes skin attachments such as beards, eyebrows, haircuts, caps, hats, helmets, and similar objects deform realistically on customized morph heads, even during animations. While this technique is commonly used in VFX and animated feature films, it is not usually, if ever, used in games. This implementation combines the unique strengths and features of this deformation method with the speed of traditional deformers like skinning and blend shapes. This tech, in combination with gene splicing, will allow artists and designers to populate both Squadron 42 and the persistent universe with a quasi-infinite number of unique-looking NPCs. Engine guys there have focused on game optimization code stuff, which is an ongoing process that will continue past the 3.1 release. They've worked on various telemetry systems, allowing them to gather and analyze various data that's continuously going to be pumped out with the PTU and persistent universe updates. They've also worked on a signed distance field for vehicle physics, as well as making significant improvements to skin rendering, and they've continued work on the object container streaming. Weapons have finished a rework on a combat knife and continued work on the Scalpel sniper rifle, as well as the Demeco LMG. Quite a few new weapon concepts from Clausen, Warner and Bearing are being signed off and added to the weapon production line. Work was also completed on the Gemini SMG, and the reimagining of the Joker engineering has continued too. Level design worked on common elements, procedural rest stops, and the flagship landing zones for the persistent universe and Lorville, Hurston's landing zone. They finished a white box pass on the modular train platforms. Next up are the admin offices, customs, and air traffic control. They also worked on integrating the rest stops with the procedural tech. The rest stops will be the test bed to create multiple base pieces that procedural tool will then use to create the final layouts. They've pushed to get transit system tech working properly in-game as well, at least on their side. This tech is essential for the level designers to be able to fully build the locations. So the transit system is a background system handling everything from elevators to trains and will be an integral part for most locations. Cinematics, the Javelin underwent mesh improvements, including a viewing corridor to watch the stars, and that also meant a slight tweak to performance capture animations for a scene that was at a location. Lighting continued to work on legacy tasks and volumetric fog conversion, and they're making admin offices look good as well. The AI team continued to work on subsumption implementation, which resulted in more challenging ship AI. The team will be adding tweakable parameters for designers so players don't face impossible challenges. While creating this basic ship AI, they've also improved other AI aspects like quantum travel so AI ships can move much more freely around the universe in the future. For ship combat, they've been busy developing a baseline subsumption activity for dogfighting and expanding the existing dogfighting behaviour already seen during December's holiday special. Now, AI pilots will have much better awareness of the state of their available weapons and will fire those that have a better chance to hit the target based on hit prediction computed by the weapon controller. The player goes through a similar process when locking on a target based on the state of their reticles displayed in their cockpit UI. AI pilots now have access to a heating state of the weapons as well. This enables AI to stop firing as soon as there's a risk of overheating, thus avoiding waiting for a longer cooldown period when the weapon isn't available. They also did numerous tasks related to AI FPS combat. They added support for using high cover, so now AIs can smoothly transition into low cover or high cover, peek and then shoot at an enemy, or use blind fire to suppress the enemy. Spectrum and Turbulent, so they've been working on block and ignore features, trying to get them ready for completion. The custom roles and custom emoji features are having some small reworks. The team there's also been working on Spectrum's overlay for in-game use. This work is laying the foundation for additional features such as Spectrum's voice chat planned for later this year. They're also working on version 1.0.1 alpha. This version will add consistency checks to help hunt down bugs. The aim is to have this new release in the PTU hands before the 3.1 launches to either party. There's some back-end platform work ongoing as well that's going to see in the shorter term UEC to Alpha UEC ledger connecting your UEC credit purchases on platform to allow for in-game purchases basically. They're also working on website improvements and a new version of the weekly newsletter too. And that was basically it for this month's monthly report. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For March, it's an outpost building pioneer donated by our featured org, Forgotten Heralds, a PMC with a history grounded in UEE military service. Their doctrine focuses on operational agility through in-game training and a sense of brotherhood and a friendly, active community. Check out their org page and Discord below to see if you're a fit for them. To be in for a chance of winning that pioneer, make sure you are a subscriber to my channel and then comment on any of my videos made during March about Star Citizens. Each video will give you another opportunity to win. Any questions about Star Citizen or Squadron 4 and 2's development, chuck them in the comments below. Anything we discussed about the monthly report, anything you're interested in, gameplay mechanics or suggestions videos, chuck them in down there as well. A special thank you to my Patreons who allow me to create the amount of content I do. If you're interested in becoming one of them, you can find the links to Patreon as well as everything else we've talked about down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe as it really does help me. And I'll see you in the verse.